This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. One day, when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all these activities. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied around her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope. Laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. So we know the churning rope. Like, what is it? It's like the pot is there, and the churning thing is inside, and there's a rope that's connected. So you can. Everybody's seen that, right? Who's actually been in the villages in Vrindavan or in India and seen them actually churning butter like this? You haven't seen? You have seen? I haven't seen. I want to see this, maybe. But I've seen photos. That's a very beautiful way to churn things. Very economical use. So this is what Mother Yashoda is doing. The churning rope means she's churning the rope. What's one pastime of the Lord that we can think of where there was some churning going on? Which one? Churning the ocean of milk, yes. Has everybody heard that pastime? Yes. And what was the churning rope in that pastime? Vasuki, the snake, right? And who was on either side? Yeah. And what were they churning? What were they trying to get there? Trying to get the nectar, right? What came first?
Poison.
And what did they do with that?
Lord Shiva drank it.
Lord Shiva drank it, right? He took care of the poison. And then, so many things happening with this pastime, very long pastime. But the same idea, there's a churning rope. So Mother Yashoda is there churning the butter in Vrindavan. While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, this is text 4, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. So she's churning away and he's going, stop. No, he caught hold of the rod that was churning, so she couldn't churn anymore. He's saying, you have more important things to do with your time right now. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowing him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. So it's noted here that it wasn't that she was neglectful or callous to the needs of the child. It says here, right, with such love and affection that the milk is flowing from her breast. But when she saw, but still the milk pan was there, she had to go and get that. Even though there was so much affection, but she had to do that. Get the milk was overflowing. Jai Shri Sri Radha Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Sri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 6, being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. I can't help but think about 4-year-old little Saver when I think of this. If you don't give him the attention, one immediately, whoa, gets angry. Want a bottle? Can I have a bottle? Yes, you can have a bottle. I want it now, Dada, now. Sorry, this is, you can see that these pastimes of Krishna, what is it? Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya yataha. All the relationships in this world are coming from the spiritual world, they're all there. Everyone in this world is searching for relationships. You want to have nice mother, father, children, husband, wife, friends, all these different relationships. But those relationships of this world are very temporary. The interaction is imperfect because it's a temporary situation of false egos of a mother, false egos of a child interacting, etc. But the real relationship is in the spiritual world. Just like if we see the reflection of a mango tree on the water, we can understand something about the real tree. We can see this green that has mangoes, it's growing like that, but we can't taste the mango from that reflection. In a similar way, we can understand something about the relationships in the spiritual world. We can get some idea of what they are, but we can't really taste. We can't really experience those relationships in a pure way, as the residents in the spiritual world are experiencing them. Because their bodies are actually that eternal existence. They are actually a cowherd boy or a mother of Krishna like that, and Krishna's body is eternal. So there's no break in that relationship, it continues eternally, and the experience is ever fresh and real. So like that we can understand something of the relationships in the spiritual world by our relationships here, and we can also get a clue into how to make our relationships in this world work by seeing the perfect manifestation of these relationships. And ultimately, all relationships work when the people in the relationship are both trying to serve the other person, right? Whether it's relationships between people, relationships between countries, whenever the people in the relationship are trying to get for themselves, then hellish condition is there. And whenever the people in the relationship are trying to serve the others, and the others trying to serve them, then it's Vaikuntha, right? This is actually we can see, even in this world, with the temple, with the community, any kind of relationships, if everyone in that relationship is trying to serve, trying to help, how can I help you? What can I do for you? What can I help you? Then it creates a Vaikuntha atmosphere, right? So we can also see how relationships in this world can work. Every relationship. So like that. Mother Yashoda, text 7, after taking down the hot milk from the oven, returned to the churning spot. And when she saw that the container of yogurt was broken and that Krishna was not present, she concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. Krishna at that time was sitting on an upside-down wooden mortar for grinding spices and was distributing milk preparations such as yogurt and butter to the monkeys as he liked. Because of having stolen, he was looking all around with great anxiety, suspecting that he might be chastised by his mother. So we can see in this world that when the child has done something, they're also worried. I might get in trouble, here we go. But Krishna is enjoying this whole thing. Mother Yashoda, upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind. Has everybody seen that picture? A very nice picture of Krishna and Balaram, and they're kind of looking around furtively. Mother Yashoda's behind the column looking. Okay. Has everybody seen that picture? Very beautiful picture. It's exactly this. So she, upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind, right? So she doesn't want him to know that she's coming. So very cautiously. But when Lord Sri Krishna saw his mother with a stick in her hand, he very quickly got down from the top of the mortar and began to flee as if very much afraid. Although yogis try to capture him as Paramatma by meditation, desiring to enter into the effulgence of the Lord with great austerities and penances, they fail to reach him. But Mother Yashoda, thinking that same personality of Godhead Krishna to be her son, began following Krishna to catch him. I'll just make this a bit bigger. Oops. Is that better?
Yep.
You can see? You can follow along up there as well. While following Krishna, Mother Yashoda, her thin waist, overburdened by her heavy breasts, naturally had to reduce her speed. Because of following Krishna very swiftly, her hair became loose and the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Yet she did not fail to capture her son, Krishna. When caught by Mother Yashoda, Krishna became more and more afraid and admitted to being an offender. He admitted. As she looked upon him, she saw that he was crying, his tears mixing with the black ointment around his eyes. And as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the ointment all over his face. Mother Yashoda, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. So he's crying, and the kajal, the ointment around his eyes, he's rubbing his eyes, and therefore the kajal becomes all smeared from the ointment. It's very, very beautiful. We can picture that in our mind, in our heart. Then Mother Yashoda, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna. So we can see in the spiritual world, the devotees there, the love for Krishna that we have in this world is just very, very small, very much covered. In fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he said, if I actually had love for Krishna, I wouldn't be able to maintain in this material body even. So we have some very small fragrance of a drop of what is love of Krishna. We're getting some very small experience. But we see in the spiritual world, it's described here, not just that Mother Yashoda loved Krishna, is that Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna. Perpetually, always, the residents of Vrindavan are overwhelmed. And we can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Shri Radhara Bhavalaya Chaitanya Avatar Yuga Dhamma Nama Prema Kaila Prachar. He's come to experience the love of residents of Vrindavan, especially Srimati Radharani. And he's come to spread that love through the chanting of the holy name. And we can see the ecstatic symptoms that he would exhibit through the love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. We were saying the other day at New Govardhan, talking about this point that in the English language there's actually no word for prema. Or does anyone know what the word for prema is in English? Can anybody tell me? Which one?
Love.
No, love. But love means so many things. Yeah, it could be devotion, but you can be devoted to your, race car or whatever you're devoted to.
Love of Krishna.
Love of Krishna, but Krishna is a Sanskrit word. So in English, what's the word for prema in English? Nobody knows?
Affection.
Affection, but you have affection for your cat, dog? No? That's not prema.
Bhagavad Prem.
That's English?
In English.
Why can't we find the English word for prema?
Because it doesn't exist.
It's not there. Yeah. There is no word in English for prema. Right? So what we call love in English is a very tiny bit of prema, tiny little reflection of the love of God, right? And 99.9% kama, lust, right? Right? All the love movies, romance, everything, all these different things. Mostly it's material lust, right? Subtle and gross. Also material lust is like to want to have some position, be recognized in society. Well, this is the same thing. It's described as a subtle kind of a karma, lust, but it's the same thing. It's related to the material world. It's not related to the soul. So prema, there's no word in English for this. It does not exist, right? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he exhibited prema. He exhibited what? Divine love. We can say divine love is as close probably as we get. We need 2 words. Divine love. He exhibited that. But when we read these pastimes, Krishna in the spiritual world, in Gokul, this is Gokul on this planet, but it's the same Goloka is manifested here, is being described. The residents are always overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with this pure love for Krishna. So Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, prema. Not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. So this, like we were saying last night, our material mind, intelligence cannot conceive of this. How is it possible that someone is so great, they are the Supreme Lord, but then the most exalted devotees don't know that? So this is, we can see in the jail, in the prison house of Kamsa, when Krishna took his birth, Devaki and Vasudeva were there, and they said, Krishna came with a four-armed form, he manifested himself. And they said, oh my dear Lord, often started offering prayers, and then they said, quick, put away 2 of your arms. If you keep these 4 arms, Kamsa will immediately know that you're God and he'll try to come and kill you. It's not logical. How is that logical? If he's God, what Kamsa can do? But in their love, they're saying, quickly, put away your 4-armed form. Just come as a normal baby, then he might think, that you're just normal, and he won't be so, right? We can understand, right, how these pure devotees are feeling. They know he's God, but at the same time, they're overwhelmed by affection. And this is really the essence, one of the main things that this whole pastime, the Damodar pastime, is showing us, that Krishna is controlled by love, by prema. We'll use the word prema from now, that we've talked about this point, right? We're not going to say love. This is love. So many baggages are there. What is love? Prema. This prema is what attracts Krishna, right? And it's the only thing that attracts Krishna. And the pure devotees, they're in such, the eternal associates and all the pure devotees in Vrindavan, they're so overwhelmed by this prema. So it's of course not that they don't know, just like the gopis were searching for Krishna in the forest, and they came across Lord Narayan with his 4 arms. And of course Lord Narayan, even all the Vaishnava Sampradayas of South India, devotees performing austerities and chanting mantras for so many thousands of years, are all trying to attain Lord Narayan. It's the most highest goal. And when the gopis met Lord Narayan, they just saw him and were simply asking, have you seen Krishna? Did he come this way? So this is the most exalted pure love of God that Lord Chaitanya is giving us, that even Lord Narayan is the residents of Vrindavan. When they see Lord Narayan, they know he's God, they understand that. But their affection overcomes their awe and reverence. And why is that? Because they have no interest in the material world. They have no interest. Just like if somebody is very, very peaceful, and they might meet a very, very rich man, they may be very poor, but if they don't have material desires, I'm happy, then they're not thinking anything. But if someone has a lot of desires and they meet some rich person or some famous person, they think, what can I get? What can I achieve? I get some contact or something, they're thinking like that. So the pure devotees of the Lord, they have no material desire. So when they meet God, God has everything. He's the owner of everything, but they have no interest. They're not, because they have no material, they have no interest. So therefore, it's just pure affection. So this is the instruction given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kalunai Shravan Adi Shuddha Chitte Kore Udai. That we are all eternally Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. We're all living entities, all the trees, all the birds, everybody has Krishna Prema dormant in their heart, right? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. It's not something that has to come from another place. That Shravan Adi, by hearing and chanting, Shuddha Chitte, the heart Shuddha, the heart becomes pure by hearing and chanting about Krishna. Karaya Udai, then that love naturally awakens, right? And also, Narottam Das Thakur has sung, what is that? Braje Radha Krishna Pavi, what is that? When my mind is pure, what is that verse? Yeah. Vishayacharya, but when I give up all interest in this material world, Vishayacharya, se rase maj, no, what is it? Vishayacharya, kabe shuddha habe man. So Vishayacharya, when I give up all interest in the material world, kabe shuddha, when my mind becomes shuddha, same thing, shuddha chitte, shuddha man, kabe hama hirabo Shri Vrindavan. At that time only I can understand Vrindavan. While we have any interest in this world, how we can understand Vrindavan? Because we'll always think of Krishna, God, what can He give me? But the residents of Vrindavan have nothing, what can He give me? Materially, right? Only what I can give Him in love. Therefore, therefore the prema is it's unalloyed, but I'm trying to say it's unfettered. It's unblocked. What's that? It flows. The prema flows continually. What is it? Anyabhilashita shunyan gana kamarena. No. Save pumsam parodamo yato bhakti ad hokshaje. Ahaituki apratihata. Yayatma suprasidati. So it's unmotivated. That's what we're saying. They have no interest in the material world. Ahaituki, no interest, and apratihata. It never stops. It just keeps flowing. The prema flows eternally increasing. Love for God. So this is this status, the state that these residents of Vrindavan are continually living in, continually overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna. Text 13, 14. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front, no rear. In other words, He is all-pervading. Because He is not under the influence of the element of time, for Him there is no difference between past, present and future. He exists in His own transcendental form at all times. Someone was asking me the other day that if God knows everything, past, present and future, then isn't He the cause of all of that? And a simple example, mundane example, but we can imagine if we have some security camera footage, right? And we're looking at that even a week later. And if we know that at this time somebody came and did something, we can see it when we play back the footage, we can see, and we know what's going to happen, right? We know, this time somebody came in and did something, drove their car, whatever, at 7:10, we know. And we go to the footage and we can see, oh yeah, there's the car, we see it. We knew it was going to happen. But did we cause that? No. So the simple example, God knows everything, past, present and future, because He's outside of material time, right? Material time is this thing going on and He's outside of that. He doesn't enter into that. So He knows everything, but He's not to blame, or He's not the cause of everything. He is the cause of all causes and setting it up in one sense. So like this, does it make sense? We can understand the Lord, He knows everything, but still we have free will. People say, well, if God knows everything, then how can I have free will? No, you have free will. He's just watching the video. Like that. Yeah. We have our free will. Otherwise, if we don't have free will, why he says to Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad Gita, I've instructed all this, now you do what you want to do. He's giving him free will. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, text 13:14 continued, for him there is no difference between past, present and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, he is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That's what I'm just talking about now. He's free from these distinctions between cause and effect, because he's everything. He's the ultimate cause, he's all the effects, everything. It's all his energy. Although he is the cause and effect of everything. That unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses had now appeared as a human child. And Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. Okay, so here a lot of tattva, a lot of philosophy is given. He's the cause of everything. He has no front and no back. He has no start, no beginning and no end. That's the first thing, right? We were saying this last night, right? Form, this harmonium, it starts here, it ends there. So our minds are completely conditioned to think in terms of material form. Material form starts somewhere, but Krishna's form, the very first thing noted here, Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no beginning, he has no end. Right? There's no beginning or end to his form. It's unlimited. No inside, outside, everything like that. I don't know if Hiranyakashipu had read this verse before he asked for those boons from Lord Brahma. Maybe he would have. Thinking, don't kill outside, inside, everything. But Krishna's everywhere. And Lord Brahma tried to tell him, I can't give it. He said, no, all right, you can't give, but then just, okay, no kill by animal or man. Okay, that I can give. No kill inside, outside, yes, I can give. But Lord Nrsingadev was just in that pillar, just waiting. So he's everywhere. And after all of this tattva, after all this philosophy, then we get again, right? How sublime is Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, that Shukadev Goswami has given. All this philosophy, in this every single verse, he's giving everything again and again, telling us all this tattva. He's the Supreme Lord. He's the beyond all conception. And at the same time, that unmanifest person who's beyond the perception of the senses had now appeared as a human child. So he's appearing as a human child. Not only that, he has a mother, Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. Right? So he's everything unlimited, but then he's coming as a human child and experiencing that relationship. And his own mother also thinks, oh, this is my child. I have to bind him up, make sure he doesn't get into more nonsense. Text 15. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short, by a distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join to it. Now this interesting point here, that at this point Krishna probably could have taken off, right? He wasn't bound already, so the rope couldn't get around him. She's left him to go and get another thing, to go and get some more ropes. He could have just, no, he's, even here, right? He's allowing, just a thought, but he's allowing, he's staying there. Then she brought another rope to join to it. I don't know the exact details, maybe she kept him inside, said, I'm watching you, or something. This new rope also was short. Jai Shri Sirada Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai. This new rope was also short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighbourhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although labouring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. The incredible thing is that because of their prema and such intense love, Krishna can still do miraculous things, and still they don't. It doesn't break their intimate bhava with him, right? He's doing this miraculous thing that they might just stop halfway and go, "Oh, I don't know how we can deal with it. This is God. This is some, I don't know. Just we can't do anything." But no, their prema is so intense, right? That. Yeah, like he lifted the hill, he killed Putana, this huge big demon, and they just said, "Oh, maybe it must be Lord Narayan's looking after him," whatever they said in their minds. But their prema is so much that even he does all these miracles, it doesn't break that. See, if they weren't on that level, he would do this miracle of thing, lifting Govardhan Hill, what to speak of even this, of having not enough ropes, continually hundreds of feet of rope, still it doesn't go around his belly. They're just like, wow, he's amazing. Like he's beautiful, we love him and everything. And he's amazing in these other ways. But it doesn't, they still think of him as their child. All of them were struck with wonder. So they're struck with wonder, but still, they keep going. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labour, her whole body became covered with perspiration. So she's working hard here, trying to tie him up. Bring more ropes, tie, and still, it's just still too short. The flowers and the comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. Right? So this is the point that Krishna says, "Oh, okay, we've had our fun, but my mother is suffering now. She's getting so tired trying to do this. Okay, well, I agree to be bound." Right? What do we just sing in that verse? Whose belly is bound not with ropes, but his mother's pure love. I offer my humble obeisances. O Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadev Goswami is talking here, text 19. O Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. What's a very famous example again when Krishna had given his heart to his devotee? Anybody can think? Maharaj Ambarish and Durvasa Muni, right? Durvasa Muni went all around the universe to try to offset the Sudarshan chakra that was coming after him, after his great offense to Maharaj Ambarish, who was a great pure devotee of the Lord. But Lord Krishna said to him, you're asking me to be merciful and give my heart, soften my heart to you and show mercy to you, but I'm happy to do that, but the trouble is I've already given it to my devotee. I've given my heart to Ambarish Maharaj. So if you want my merciful heart, you need to go and ask him for it, because he has it, right? So this is the Lord of love. Oh, Lord of prema. Let's not use that word. What an highest conception of God anywhere in any of the scriptures of the world, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that any name of the Lord that is a name, naming him in relation to the material world, right? So any name that names him in relation to the material world, like God, the Supreme, the most powerful, Paramatma, one who lives in everyone's heart, the Savior, the one who saves us from the material world. All of these names of the Lord are secondary names, actually. And therefore, these secondary names cannot give prema. because these secondary names are calling on the Lord as from our perspective, from a material perspective, saying what He can give to the conditioned souls. But the primary names of God, Krishna, Govinda, I was even thinking, even Narayan, right? Narayana, the shelter of all the Naras, all the being, that's also a secondary name, actually, of Krishna. And Bhakti Thakur explains it. But to get prema, yes, Gopal, Govinda, Ram, Sri Madhusudan, Giridhari, Gopinath, Madan Mohan. Bhajans is full of primary names of Krishna. Because these names are not calling on the Lord to help us in our material position. They're calling on the Lord in His existence, right? In His world. They're calling on Him. I want to be part of your world, right? If we're calling on, oh God, give us our daily chapati, right? We're calling on God to be part of our world. We're saying, come and be part of my conditional life. I still want to be the controller, enjoyer, but I just want to control and enjoy a bit more. And you have everything, so please give me a bit more so I can control and enjoy more. Right? That's essentially what we're saying. But this conception of the Lord that's given in the Vedas, and the cream of the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, is His world. And therefore is pure love, pure prema offering to the Lord. Yeah. And Shukadeva Goswami is explaining this, that this great universe, that's great demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, they're all controlled by the Lord. Yet the Supreme Lord is controlled by His devotees. And this was exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. Text 20. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But He is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Okay? So this is the karmis, the jnanis and the yogis, right? The karmis are people who consider the body the self. They're trying to enjoy the body. The yogis are doing penances and austerities for self-realization. And the jnanis are those who are philosophically analyzing the material world, analyzing what is matter, what is spirit, what is eternal, what is not eternal, all of these things. But Shukadeva Goswami is saying that Krishna is not very easily accessible to these people, but is accessible to devotees who are engaged in spontaneous loving service. While Mother Yashoda was very busy with household affairs, text 22, the Supreme Lord Krishna observed twin trees known as Yamal Arjuna, which in a former millennium had been the demigod sons of Kuvera. In their former birth, these two sons, known as Nalakuvara and Manigriva, were extremely opulent and fortunate, but because of pride and false prestige, they did not care about anyone, and thus Narad Muni cursed them to become trees. Okay, so we'll stop there, and maybe we can do chapter 10, or you can do chapter 10 another time, or I can come back if you'll have me sometime, or next year or something. Because it's 5 to 9, right? So we just leave a little bit of time if there's any questions, but we'll stop there. Yeah. Is there any question about any of this? All good? Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
A bit controversial question, but asking you.
I like controversial questions, that's okay. Helps digest the breakfast.
So, even Krishna can give free will, but why as parents we can't give free will to the children to do what they want?
Your kids don't have any free will? Geez, mine have a lot.
Indian parents.
Indian. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's a good answer.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most of the people around here
Mother, please speak about this.
don't have mommies young.
So, I mean, firstly, in terms of moral instruction or about us down here, Chanika Pandit says that, up to 16 years, they're very tightly controlled, and after that, you just have to befriend. There's not much you can do after 16, right? You've created that. Then they have their free will. But looking more philosophically, we can understand that the way we interact with our children is really the same way Krishna interacts. In that he sets up everything. He says, Yayatam mam prapadante tam sateva bhajamyaham. As they surrender to me, then I reward them. Krishna says that, right? So he gives us free will, but then within that free will there's consequences. So there's consequences for our action. And if we don't want to be a part of the pure service and the pure love and interaction of the spiritual world, then he says, all right, here, by my energy I'll create this Mayic world, and you can go for a dream in there for a few trillion years and imagine that you're actually enjoying. And then even within that, Krishna is reciprocating, upadrashthanamantascha, super soul, he's reciprocating with us even in this world. So like that, everything we do is an interplay of free will and then the consequence of that, right? Our karma, if you want to say our karma, is a crystallization of our free will, if you want to say it like that, right? Because whatever body we have, whatever mind do we have, everything now is a result of what we've done in previous lifetimes, right? And so like that, the same with our children. They do some nice service around their home, and then the mother will give some reward. Oh, you've done so nicely, here, give this. Or they're not responding in a proper way, or at something is withdrawn from them. So like that, it's an interplay of free will and responsibility, like that. You could say a lot of things about that. This is one problem that we see, that overall in the world at the moment, there's a big focus on rights, and there's not so much a focus on responsibility, and this creates havoc in society in so many different ways. But a healthy social body or individual body has a combination of rights, free will, like I have the right to do this, and a healthy combination of responsibilities. I am responsible to others around me to act in such a way. And so like this, there's that combination is given by Krishna and parents, to more or less a degree,
The government?
as much as they can do. They also act in the same way, Yeah, the government, the same thing. You have your freedom, right? But if you misuse your freedom to a certain degree, ultimately you get a fine. If you keep going, they'll put you in jail. In the jail, if you abuse everyone, they'll put you in solitary. Like, it just keeps going. If you misuse your free will, your free will is curtailed. And then as you use your free will nicely, helping others, then you're given more freedom. So like that, same thing. In a family, in a country, in the spiritual world, all the same. Janmadyasya yataha. Everything's coming from there.
Thank you, Guru.
Hare Krishna. I'm just a messenger. This is the Vedic literature, and Prabhupada has brought this. Prabhupada is the one who's brought it to us. Even Australians can get purified. So, seriously, it's Prabhupada's mercy that we can understand any of this. And if we have time, we have to really carefully read Prabhupada's books. There's so many books we can read and so many people we can hear from. We should hear from different devotees. But the foundation should be, how did Srila Prabhupada practice Krishna consciousness? What importance he put on what things? And his mood that we should study very carefully, and we should know that very carefully. That's the basis. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Kali Karera Dhamma Krishna Nama Sankirtana Krishna Shakti Vini Nahi Pravartana. That somebody cannot spread Krishna consciousness without being empowered by Krishna. It's Krishna's Bhakti, right? We're reading here. Through Krishna's Bhakti, when he was pleased, he let his mother bind him. So it's Krishna's Bhakti. So nobody can give Bhakti without Krishna. It's the love of the Lord. The Lord has to agree. So we can see from that, Srila Prabhupada was the one that took Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, all over the world. All over the world. From nothing, 40 rupees. $7 he had in a trunk of Bhagavatams and a free passage to America. That's all he had. And the mercy and instruction of his spiritual master. Through that he started a worldwide movement now. So we can see that according to that verse, who is that one empowered to give Krishna consciousness? It's Srila Prabhupada. It's not a sectarian subjective viewpoint. It's just objective historical fact. So if we want to practice Krishna consciousness in this age, minimum we have to really understand Prabhupada's mood. What was important, how to study, just Prabhupada, end of story. Just understand Prabhupada, and then we can attain success in this Krishna consciousness.